welcome back to my channel. My name is Esther. I hope you guys are doing well. It's like every time I get here, it's like this is like bubbling spirits within me. Like I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching, subscribing. If you have not subscribed, that means you have not done your due diligence as a subscriber. So you need to click the subscribe button. Click it right now. And you know the funny thing, this is what happened. When you don't click the subscribe button, you will miss on good, amazing videos as the one I'm about to do today. So I have been just talking about the different things that I really want to talk about when it comes to recommendation. As for today, I really want to touch base on recommendation. I think a lot of times when we are getting ready to apply for college, or you already have this notion of you really know who to ask for a recommendation. Most of the time, the people we ask for recommendation are not ideal. So today, I'm here to talk about that topic: how to land a top recommendation. And you will see that a lot of universities, what they do is that they say something like, do you waive your right to read this recommendation? Meaning, like, obviously you want to see what this professor or whoever you asked to recommend you has sent to these universities that you're applying to, but ideally it doesn't really happen in the sense of, okay, do they know me? Do they know you? Do they know the real you? Do they comprehend who you are? A lot of professors, what they do is that they will ask you to send them a resume of yourself. So that's how they base the recommendation on, right? Now, prior to even sending that email, I think that what we don't do as far as immigrant students, as far as just people coming from a different land, if you are here in the United States and you are going for that recommendation, what you don't do is that you don't build a relationship. We tend to not build a relationship with our professors. And that's bad. Every professor is not supposed to be your friend, of course. But there's one or two people that you can relate to. Either you're doing well in their classes and they see you and they're like, wow, A. When you are getting an A in a class, that means that that's somebody you should build a networking relationship with. Those are the people that you ask for a recommendation because you're doing well in their class. They know you by your grade. Sometimes they have so many students, they don't even know the name of the students. They may call attendance. But when they see the A's, they relate the A to the name. And so they already know who you are as a person. Those are the people that you ask for a recommendation from, okay guys? So this is one thing I really want to say, because a lot of times people rush. It's your senior year in high school, or you are transferring from a community college going to a 4-year university, and you just pick one random professor to be your recommender. You shouldn't do that, okay? You need to start building a relationship from the beginning. A professor that you like, you appreciate, you enjoy, that's the person that you need to ask a recommendation from, okay? Am I making sense more? So now that you know, like you see the patterns. The pattern is that, one, you're doing well in their class. Two, you cannot just go and ask a recommendation to a professor that you're getting a D. You're getting a D in their class and you're going to ask them for a recommendation. It doesn't make sense, yeah? So you need to, one, of course, even if you are getting a B, at least a B or a C. That's where the whole idea of working hard comes in. Because building that relationship, again, remember, they don't even know you by face at first, but they know you by your grades. They know you by how well you're doing in the class, right? Most of the time when I got a recommendation, it came from a professor that I was acing quizzes. I was doing well. A good example for me would be my senior year in college. So that means that like all those 3 years that I have spent, I don't think I have really enjoyed a class like, I think it was political economy with Dr. Ferguson. Shout out to Dr. Ferguson. I mean, that class, I enjoyed it so much. I was studying just to study. I was reading. I was enjoying the reading. I was getting A's and A's and A's. And let me tell you, until today, when I was applying for my master's, I contacted this man. I said, Dr. Ferguson, I'm applying. I would love to have the opportunity to have you recommend me. These are the schools that I'm applying to. This is my resume. So now you're going into the details of asking that professor and sending them that email. Yeah. So now that you're sending them that email, maybe you have not talked to that professor in a long time. Or maybe you have never sent them an email concerning a recommendation. First, you need to introduce yourself and say, in the subject should say greetings. It should not say needing recommendation, give me recommendation, a request or inquiry for a recommendation. I mean, those things, they are somehow vague, especially if you did not have a relationship with the person. But you can say greetings or thank you from a former student. Okay, that's your subject. So in the body of your email now, you can just say like, hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you in a while. I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for what you have done for me. I really enjoy your class, and as I am moving up the ladder in my academic career, I would love to have the opportunity to have you as a recommender. I am applying for my master's in so and so and so schools. Maybe you don't know the schools yet, but you can say that I'm applying for my master's, I'm applying for my bachelor's, I'm applying for my PhD, and I would love the opportunity to have you recommend me. And most of the time, professors usually will ask you for a resume. These are people who don't really know you well, okay? And they may know you, but they will still ask for your resume because they don't know what you've been up to all these 2-3 years that you have not been in communication with them. Am I making sense? So now that you know what you need to do, in a sense of, what do I put in my resume? Resume is definitely something that identifies with them. Yeah? So that means that, of course, by seeing your name, by seeing your resume, everything will come back to them and say, oh, this person is the person that used to get A, used to ask questions. Attendance was excellent. They used to ask, they used to be vivid and present in the classroom. Guys, so your recommendation would be strong because you can ask for a recommendation from any professor. They will say yes, and they will just... they will rumble something on a paper and they will send it to the university. Most of the time, you don't get into those universities because of the recommender, because of the person that is writing your recommendation. It's vague, it's emotionless when they are giving those schools your recommendation because they don't know you well. But a professor that knows you well would remember you by how well you did in their class, by sending them their resume, and also by giving them time. I think that's another thing that a lot of us immigrant students, we don't do. You don't need to, now that you're applying for a school, application is due January 15, you are emailing this professor January 7th. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They are so busy. So now that means that you have to, what you need to do is to email them 2 months in advance. Minimum 1 month, 4 weeks in advance, and saying, this is what you're doing. Okay, so recommendation happens when you build a strong relationship with your former professors, and you also have the opportunity to allow them to know who you are while you are in their class. So the genesis of a good recommendation comes from a networking building while you are still in the process right now. If you have a professor that you really enjoy their class, you're doing well in their class, start building a relationship. And what do I mean by that? Meaning that because they know you're an A student, they would they give you more leverage. Meaning you can come to the office hours and ask questions. You can ask questions in class. They now know you. Okay, guys, the people that I ask recommendation from, there are people that they know me too well. And also, I was able to get perfect grades in their class. Okay, now maybe your perfect grade is a C. Okay, but that C still means something. It means a lot to you. So that means that's the relationship you need to start. Guys, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Where you water your grass, that's where it's green. It's not green on the other side. Meaning that if you want to have that substantial, that amazing recommendation, you need to start building a relationship with your professors from the get-go, from the beginning, from the genesis. Okay? So, guys, I really am putting this out there because I think it's very important. A lot of the schools that I've applied to and I did not get in is because I was asking for random recommendation from random people. It doesn't make sense. These schools want recommendation from possibly somebody. Maybe you're applying for a master's in I don't know, financial or accounting, and you are giving them some I don't know, elective you took. No, you need to give them a professor from your major. Maybe that is your chair of your department. Maybe you took a class with a very, emeritus professor. You took a class with a very strong professor in your major. That's the thing. They're asking, most of the time, most of the schools will ask you for 3 recommendations. Your first 2 need to be very strong people, meaning that a class you took that did well and also relates to your major and what you're applying for. Let me repeat this again. If you're applying for something, like your master's is in political science, your master's is in international relations, your master's is in health, your master's is in global health, your professors needs to come from that area. The first 2 at least need to be based on that area. That means that you need to have that relationship already fragmented, in a sense of you're building that relationship from the genesis from those professors before you ask them for a recommendation. Okay, so are we making sense now? We are making sense more, Abby. So now you know. So now that you know, okay, guys, even if it's never too late to build a relationship with your professor, okay? And I will say this small story before I leave. When I was studying abroad in Spain, I mean, the European system, educational system is so different. Professors will go for a drink with their students. They don't like to be called doctors and all. So it's like this open relationship with your collaborators, with your professors. Whereas in the US, you cannot go for a drink with your professor. Like, you cannot do that unless you're in a master's program or PhD program, and you can ask, because now relevantly some professors are open to that idea, right? That's also when you know them. You can say, hey, I would love the opportunity to talk to you more about this chapter. Go to office hours, make yourself relevant. The first few videos I talk about office hours, but I really want to make that a priority. Office hours would make way from not just a substantial recommendation, but a recommendation that makes the reader at whichever university you're going to read that recommendation and be like, wow, impeccable. Okay, guys? So remember, the first thing you need to do is create that relationship with that professor. Number 2, try to do well in those classes. Number 3, listen. When you're sending that email, be very concrete and decisive and say, hey, thank you for what you have done. I really enjoy your class. That's one of the reasons why I did well. So I did so well. But I also feel that you can be a recommender for my future career. I'm applying for a master's in so and so and so. And you can also even ask them for a recommendation for schools you can apply for. It happens most of the time. Okay, guys? So to lend a top recommendation, the key is to build a relationship with the professors, okay? 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter at this point, but what matters really is that you're building that connection with them to give you and lend you. Because people who really know you, they will ask you for your recommendation, but while writing that recommendation, you will read that recommendation letter and you start crying. That's what happened for me when I was applying for my master's. Okay, very good professor of mine, Dr. Ferguson. Thank you, sir. May God bless you. I spent 3 years in college and never connected to a class the way I connected to his class. And when I took his class until today, everything I do, I would email him. Dr. Ferguson, I need recommendation. And he never faded away. The last time I talked to him, I sent him an email. I said, Dr. Ferguson, and he said to me, you no longer have to call me a Dr. Ferguson because me and you, we are colleagues. That made it. I cried. So you want to build a strong connection with your professors. You want to do well in a specific class that will allow you to learn that awesome recommendation. Guys, I'm so grateful. Every week you guys come, you do well by me. You do well by me. I'm grateful. Thank you. May God bless you. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, share this video, especially for us immigrants. It is very important to know the ladder, especially for non-English speaking immigrants. Okay, if English is not your first language, share this video. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye bye.